नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपः कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं। जय श्रीकृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासदि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। Hare Krishna. So today we'll be discussing chapter 3, text number 21. Yad yadacharati shrestha tattadevetaro janaha sayat pramanam kurute lokastadanu vartate. Yad yad, whatever, acharati, he does, shrestha, a respectable leader, tat, that, tat, and that alone, eva, certainly, itaraha, common, janaha, person, saha, he, yat, whichever, pramanam, example, kurute, does perform, lokaha, all the world, tat, that, anuvartate, follows in the footsteps. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Translation. Whatever action a great man performs, common men follow, and whatever standards he sets by exemplary acts, all the world pursues. Kindly repeat. Whatever action a great man performs, common men follow, and whatever standards he sets by exemplary acts, all the world pursues. Purport. People in general always require a leader who can teach the public by practical behavior. A leader cannot teach the public to stop smoking if he himself smokes. Lord Chaitanya said a teacher should behave properly before he begins teaching. One who teaches in that way is called Acharya, or the ideal teacher. Therefore, a teacher must follow the principles of Shastra to teach the common man. The teacher cannot manufacture rules against the principles of revealed scriptures. The revealed scriptures like Manu Samhita and similar others are considered the standard books to be followed by human society. Thus, the leader's teaching should be based on the principle of such standard Shastras. One who desires to improve himself must follow the standard rules as they are practiced by great teachers. The Srimad Bhagavatam also affirms that one should follow in the footsteps of great devotees, and that is the way of progress on the path of spiritual realization. The king or executive head of a state, the father, and the school teacher are all considered to be natural leaders of innocent people in general. All such natural leaders have a great responsibility to their dependents. Therefore, they must be conversant with standard books of moral and spiritual codes. So, very famous verse, Yad Yad Acharati Shrestha. And very practically, Lord Krishna is explaining to Arjuna that he should give up the idea of giving up one's prescribed duties, even if he thinks that he is sufficiently purified. Somebody may say, oh, I am already pure, prescribed duties are performed for the purification of heart, but if my heart is already pure, what is the necessity of performing prescribed duty? Let me give up all kind of work. So Krishna is nullifying this idea. He doesn't recommend that. He says that although one may be purified, but still perform those actions so that you set a right example for people in general, because people are looking for a right example, and more so the external behavior, which is supposed to be the reflection of the internal attitude of any person. But usually people go by external behavior, so even the stress is also given that okay, internally you are renounced, but still perform all those acts externally. Just like Raghunath Das Goswami, he wanted to renounce the world very quickly. So Mahaprabhu told him, you go home. Sthira haya ghare aha naho batud. Don't become mad. Become steady. Go to your house. Go to your home. Krame krame payalok bhava sindhu cool. Only gradually one attains the other side of the material world. So therefore what you do? Antare nishtha kara baye loka vyavahar. So inside you keep your steady determination to serve Krishna, but externally perform all sorts of duties, which are supposed to be the duties according to one's varna and ashrama. And when proper time comes, then Krishna will give you sfurti from inside, inspiration from inside, that now is the time to give up everything, But till that time comes, antare nishtha kara, become steady within, but externally perform all those actions. So it's, Prabhupada is mentioning here that, a leader, and Prabhupada mentions that a politician, political leader, or a father, or a school teacher, they are natural leaders. So I just heard one story. One father was traveling with his two small kids, and they boarded a bus, and the bus conductor, he asked for a ticket. If you have seen in India, you get the ticket after boarding the bus, and usually below 5-year-old, one can travel without ticket. From 5 to 12 year, you have to purchase half ticket, and above 12 years, you have to purchase full ticket. So bus conductor asked this ticket collector, he asked this father how many tickets he wants. So he says 1 full and 2 half, and because his 2 children were 5-year-old and 7-year-old, so he said 1 full, 2 half. So then this person, he asks him, this bus conductor, that how old are your children? So he says one is 7-year-old and the younger one is 5-year-old. So he said, oh, you could have saved a half ticket for that money which you spent on this half ticket of this younger boy, because he doesn't look 5-year-old only. So the father says, no, yesterday only we celebrated his 5th birthday. So he said, no, you could have said he's 4-year-old. What difference would it have made? I wouldn't have suspected you if you had said he is less than 5-year-old. So the father said, yes, you wouldn't have suspected, but he would have suspected that why my father is behaving this way. Like if he comes to know that after one grows beyond 5, he needs to purchase half ticket, and my father is lying to this bus conductor just to save money, so you wouldn't suspect, but he would suspect, so therefore I am purchasing his ticket. So the thing is, the way the father acts or the leader acts, the it says that children see and children learn. Usually children don't hear and learn, they see and learn. They see others, they won't hear your instructions, they would see what you do and they will try to imitate. So therefore it's very important even for a political leader to be very exemplary. If political leader is exemplary, then automatically the citizens are exemplary. So some people, they they complain that, oh, our leader is corrupt, our leader is corrupt. But I heard one philosopher saying that people get the government they deserve. You know? So it's not them to be it's not the government that is to be blamed, but it's the people. You know. So the idea is, Prabhupada also quotes this example of Chanakya Pandit, how he was such an exemplary leader. So one Chinese traveler, traveler, I think he's Yuan Seng or something. I forgot his name. So during the time of Chandragupta Maurya, he came to India and he wanted to meet Chanakya Pandit at his house. And when he came to his house, Chanakya Pandit was, in early India, the rooms were usually dark and you needed a light to lit the house even during the day. So he was doing his some work. So when this traveler arrived, then Chanakya Pandit, he put off the flame of one lamp and lit another lamp. So then this Chinese traveler, he had a good discussion with Chanakya Pandit, and then he said, I have a query. I am little inquisitive. Why did you do that? You just put off one lamp and lit another lamp. What's the secret? So Chanakya Pandit said, no, I was doing government work. So therefore I was using the oil given by government to light one particular lamp. But then now your meeting with me is my personal meeting. So therefore I am lighting oil with the oil of my house, that so that belonging to me, not that which was belonging to government. So it's a very interesting thing to note, that how the leaders, they shape the future of the citizens. One time, this is His Grace Radheshyam Prabhu, he is temple president of Pune temple. So he was sharing, one time Mataji came to visit. She was a wife of a big minister, and she came to our Pune temple to visit. And Radheshyam Prabhu took her for the tour, showing her the temple, showing her the different dioramas, taking darshan of the deities, walk her around. And then she came in front of one picture where Krishna is riding the chariot as a charioteer, driving chariot of Arjuna. And then she raised a doubt. She said, I had this doubt long back. Why did Krishna encourage Arjuna to fight? Yudhishthira Maharaj was so peaceful, and Pandavas were all very loyal to Yudhishthira Maharaj, and Yudhishthira Maharaj was so saintly. And he was happy living in forest. She was saying that let Duryodhana continue. He would have let Duryodhana continue ruling the kingdom. How does it matter? Why to engage such a ghastly war where so many people died, so many soldiers died? Yudhishthira Maharaj was not even willing to fight, or not even desirous of the kingdom. So why Krishna arranged in such a way that he forced them to fight, and such a ghastly war took place? They would have let Duryodhana rule, and avoid all kind of massacre. So Radheshyam Prabhu, he gave a very nice explanation. He said that, Madam, have you heard that whatever the leader does, the common men follow? This same verse he quoted. Yadyad acharati shrestha. If Krishna had let Duryodhana rule and continue instead of Yudhishthira Maharaj, then all the people of Hastinapur, and for that matter of the whole world, would have become thieves and rogues. And what did Yudhishthira Maharaj, what did Duryodhana do? He insulted a very saintly lady in public. So following his example, people would have become like that. Would you like such future? Would you prefer such future of India where or the world where any man just simply out of his whim publicly insults some woman? Is that what you want? So she said, no, Krishna did the right thing by dethroning Duryodhan and putting the right person who is himself of a very saintly character, Yudhishthira Maharaj. And for whatever number of years he ruled, that actually shapes the future of the citizens and the future of the country. So this is very important. We see in the life and precepts of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu that he emphasized this fact, that how a spiritual leader especially has to be very exemplary. And Mahaprabhu showed by his own example. Prabhupada mentions, Apani Achari Prabhu Jiver Shikhaila. Apani na Achari Bhakti Jiver na Shikhay. So he says that if one doesn't perform himself the act, he cannot teach others how to do that things properly. So Mahaprabhu was very careful about his behavior and his even public impression. So when he was requested to meet this king Maharaj Prataprudra, who was very devotional, but then just because he was a king, very royal personality, very rich, and usually the saintly people are advised not to meet such opulent royal people. So he hesitated for a long time even to give a darshan to Prataprudra Maharaj, and everybody was pleading on behalf of Prataprudra Maharaj. And then Mahaprabhu said a very nice thing. He said that Shukla Vastre Masi Bindu Yechana Lukai Sannyasira Alpachitra Sarva Loka Gai. He said that just like on a clean, spotless cloth, if there is one drop of ink falls on that cloth, you cannot hide it. It becomes so visible. So similarly, a saintly person or a vairagi or sannyasi, a renunciant, alpa chidra sarva loka gaya. People are there just to find faults. And then they will see a small fault and then they will say, just see, this sannyasi does like that. Or just see, this devotee does like that. So therefore I don't want to take any chances like that. Mahaprabhu, and then he doesn't meet Prataprudra Maharaj for a long time. Also we see that when Ramachandra Puri, his spiritual master's god brother, he is criticizing Mahaprabhu. He is just trying to see some fault in Mahaprabhu. He is following Mahaprabhu just to find some fault. And one day he sees some ants coming from the ashram or the house of Mahaprabhu, and he said, oh, just see how much sweet this sannyasi is eating, this Mahaprabhu. He is eating so many sweets. He was speculating actually. So Mahaprabhu next day he told Govinda that reduce my diet, reduce my alms to half. Like, don't beg more than that. And when devotees heard that, they became so agonized that they gave up eating. And but this is just to show the people by example that people should not be able to find fault with devotees or renunciants, just to set that standard for people in general. We see also when Sanatana Goswami, he was staying in Puri in the house of Haridas Thakur. And one time Mahaprabhu called him to Yameshwar Tota. If you have visited Puri, then there are two paths from Siddhabakul to Yameshwar Tota. One path goes by the beach, sandy beach. In summer times this path is very hot. Another path goes by the temple, the Puri main temple. And Sanatana Goswami was immediately called by Mahaprabhu. So Sanatana Goswami was thinking that this shortcut or this path near from that goes by the side of the temple it's a cool path. There is a lot of shade and all. But if I go by that path, then there are pujaris of Jagannath. They are just walking So they may touch me, or something might happen, something inauspicious may happen in service of Lord Jagannath. So he preferred the long route, which is through the sandy beach, which is very hot, and he was walking barefoot. So Sanatana Goswami had blisters on the soles of his feet till he reached that Yameshwar Tota where Mahaprabhu was there. And Mahaprabhu said, "Which path did you take?" So he said, "No, I came by the sandy path." So he said, "Why? You got all the wounds on your feet." So Sanatana Goswami said, No, it's not so painful," he says. "Not so painful." So then he reveals that, if I come by the side of temple, then the pujaris may get contaminated. So Mahaprabhu becomes so pleased with him. He said that, "Your body is so pure that demigods will become purified just by touching you. But still, you take so much precaution to set the right example." He said that, "Tathapi bhaktera swabhav maryada rakshan. Maryada haite hai sadur bhushan." He says that the nature of a devotee is to follow the etiquettes. And by following the etiquettes, what happens? It's an ornament for a devotee. And he says that if you don't teach others, who will teach? Because Sanatana Goswami is, a few days back it was Guru Purnima, and whole of Raja considers Sanatana Goswami as Guru. And the Vyasa Purnima, they also celebrate Sanatana Goswami's disappearance day. And in memory of Sanatana Goswami, they do Govardhan Parikrama. So he was a guru for all the Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya. Rupa Sanatan, both of them. So if you don't teach, who will teach? He says. Tumi na shikhaile. If you don't teach, who will teach others? So this is what Mahaprabhu expected from his followers. And actually there is nice example in the life of Prabhupada. If you have heard the old tapes of Prabhupada, you might hear Prabhupada singing Bhaja Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, like that, Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. He starts with Bhaja Shri Krishna Chaitanya. And one time I heard this in Prabhupada Memories. One of disciples of Srila Prabhupada, he mentions this. One of his disciples was singing Bhaja Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. So the disciple was little extra innovative, and he added this Bhaja word even before Hare Krishna. So then Prabhupada stopped singing Bhaja Shri Krishna Chaitanya. In the later tapes, he would sing only Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya or only Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda. So why did Prabhupada do that? Because he knew that, if he adds, now to add Bhaja before Shri Krishna Chaitanya is bona fide. But if he does that, he is saying that some of his disciples are, being extra innovative. They are adding Bhaja even before Hare Krishna. Bhaja Hare Krishna Hare Krishna. But that's not the correct way of chanting mantra, because it's a 16 syllable mantra. One shouldn't add anything before Hare Krishna and after Ram Ram Hare Hare. So it's a mantra which should not be tampered with. So Prabhupada changed himself. He changed he stopped singing Bhaja Shri Krishna Chaitanya. He's only sang Shri Krishna Chaitanya or Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya. So just like the way the leader acts, the disciples follow. So leader acts in such an exemplary way and in such a beautiful way that he sets a right example for all the disciples. And there is no question of any ambiguity in the behavior of a Vaishnava. And here it is mentioned that how does one behave according to the Praman of Shastra. Because 16th chapter if we read, it says that यह शास्त्र विधि उत्सृज्य वर्तते कामकारतः न स सिद्धिम अवाप्नोति न सुखम न पराम गतिम. If one gives up the recommendation of scriptures and whimsically acts, then what happens? न स सिद्धिम अवाप्नोति, he won't attain any perfection. न सुखम, he won't attain happiness. न पराम गतिम, he won't attain his destination also. Therefore, our acharyas are so careful to churn all the scriptures and give us the essence. What is to be done, what is not to be done. This is very nicely explained in Shastra. And we see that in the lives of many, many great devotees. They refer to previous acharyas and previous, how did previous Mahajanas acted. And they will follow the example. Just like Nityananda Prabhu, when he was young, one sannyasi came and he became the guest of Nityananda Prabhu's father, Hadai Pandit. And after they spent the night glorifying Krishna, next day morning, sannyasi was about to leave. He said, "Can I ask you something?" Hadai Pandit says, "Yes, please." He says that I am traveling, there is no assistant to me. So can you give your son to me as assistant? So this came like a thunderbolt for Hadai Pandit, because it is mentioned that Hadai Pandit was so attached to Nityananda Prabhu that he wouldn't tolerate a moment of separation from his son. Even when his son Nityananda Prabhu would walk behind, all the time Hadai Pandit would look behind, whether he is walking behind him. That is how he was attached to Nityananda Prabhu. And so he was thinking what to do. Then he asked, "Let me ask Nityananda's mother, Padmavati, and I will tell you exactly." And then both of them consulted, and they decided that long back, even Dasharath Maharaj and Kaushalya Sumitra, they faced similar situation when Vishwamitra Muni, he came to ask Lord Ram. And that time Dasharath Maharaj was so attached to Lord Ram that he didn't want to give up the company of Lord Ram. So he was saying, "Oh, I will come with you. Why do you want my son?" So Vishwamitra angrily said that, "I am asking for your son. So why are you suggesting different things to me?" So then Dasharath Maharaj, with heavy heart, he hands over Ram and Lakshman to Vishwamitra. So then Hadai Pandit says, because he acted that way, we also need to act same way. So then he tells Padmavati that I think we have to ask Nityananda only what he wants to do. And then Nityananda Prabhu, he says that yes, I want to go. And then so this is how all our acharyas and all our great personalities, they refer to previous instances. How did they act in previously? One application for devotees. So again, one pastime, very instructive and illustrative pastime of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So one time there is one associate of Mahaprabhu, his name is Gopinath Patnaik. So he was one appointed tax collector, and he collected taxes and didn't give the proper share to the king. Ruling king was Prataparudra Maharaj, and Prataparudra Maharaj employed his son to see into this matter and settle the business. And so the son, the prince, he comes to Gopinath Patnaik and he says that, "Hey, what's in your mind? Like, how come you are mishandling the money?" So he says, "I am not mishandling. I will repay them, in installments. So I have some horses. You can purchase those horses, and then accordingly adjust the balance." And then the prince comes for inspecting the horses and to decide upon the price of the horses. And Gopinath Patnaik shows him the horses, and the prince, being the kind of politician, he reduces the price of the horses and says, "I will pay this much for your horses. And that much will be subtracted from your due." And Gopinath Patnaik becomes little angry that how come he is reducing the price of my horses. And this prince had the habit of some kind of idiosyncrasy of doing like this in between, like this, something like moving his neck and looking at the sky. So he had that kind of idiosyncrasy. So Gopinath Patnaik says, "My horse don't do like this." You know, so you shouldn't reduce their price. so so Prince becomes very angry because he understands that he is making fun of the prince for his idiosyncratic behavior. So he just orders death punishment for Gopinath Patnaik. Bring him to the scaffold. Changa, it is said. Changa means there are pointed swords, and a criminal is dashed upon it from above. So associates of Gopinath Patnaik, they run to Mahaprabhu saying that, Mahaprabhu, please save Gopinath Patnaik, you're a devotee. The king has ordered, the prince has ordered death punishment for him, capital punishment. So Mahaprabhu says, I am a sannyasi, I don't have business with all these things, don't bother me. So, then he says to Kashi Mishra that, what is this? People are coming to me am I supposed to interfere with all these political matters, being a sannyasi? I will just go to Alalnath. And then Kashi Mishra says, no, actually Gopinath Patnaik didn't send them. Devotees out of their own concern, they came to meet you. So nobody is asking you to, nobody will bother you. Don't worry, you just stay here. And then devotee still requests Mahaprabhu that, please do something. They are going to give him death punishment. So Mahaprabhu says, I cannot do anything. Lord Jagannath is the controller of the entire world. You go and pray to him. So the devotees go and pray to Lord Jagannath. And here, king comes to know that his son is giving punishment to Gopinath Patnaik. So king consults Kashi Mishra. Kashi Mishra tells him about Mahaprabhu's how Mahaprabhu is disgusted with the whole incident. So king says, I don't care about this money. For sake of Mahaprabhu, what is this stupid 2 lakh coins? For him, I am ready to give up my entire life. So I will just what is it called? For wager? No. Forfeit, yeah. I will forfeit all his debt and let him go. And in fact, I will double his salary. Yeah. I will forfeit his, thank you, Prabhu. Forfeit his dues, and I will just double his salary. And I will also, of course, needless to say, forgive him, pardon him from this punishment, like that. And Mahaprabhu was asking, what was Gopinath doing while he was being dragged to the scaffold? So devotee said he was chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So Mahaprabhu was very happy with this, but at the same time he was unhappy with what he did earlier. So when Gopinath Patnaik comes to meet him saying that, because of you I was saved and all that, Mahaprabhu says, yes, that's all right, but don't mishandle government's money, he says. So he says that as a devotee you should be very particular how to honestly earn money and then honestly use it for Krishna's service. So don't do this again, he says. So this is what Mahaprabhu expects from devotees. It's not that devotee becomes suddenly nonchalant to all rules and regulations, but rather people will become devotees or non-devotees seeing his behavior. I was reading some statistics. It says that it's a general academic statistics, but I found it interesting. It says that even an ordinary person, we are not talking about public leaders and presidents and all, even an ordinary person, if he lives for 60 years, he has influence over more than 4,000 people. He has an influence on the behavior of more than 4,000 people. Ordinary people. Forget about those who are celebrities or doing something substantial in their life, even in material fields, what to speak of doing something substantial in spiritual life. So they have knowingly or unknowingly influence over behavior of more than 4,000 people. So that is how our behavior is affecting so many. Especially this verse is meant for leaders, but in one sense every devotee is leader of his own life. or at least his family, or at least his surrounding, like that. So if we see here that if devotee acts nicely according to scriptures and his behavior is spotless, then that is actually a great preaching. Right? That, as they say, that example is better than precept. That if a person speaks for 1 hour, okay, he may have some influence, but if he does one nice act, that has more voice, so as to say, than his just loud speech or whatever. So this is what I thought we would discuss today. So I think it's 6:15, so we'll open it for discussion or questions or anything you would like to comment. Yes, Prabhu.
So I'm not here to like make devotees look bad, but I mean, especially more in the early days, our society is riddled with seemingly unethical activities. So, and some still do that as big leaders. And, a lot of people have changed over the years. So, I mean, honestly, the book distribution, my life is riddled with seemingly unethical activities to get the books out. But with keeping a favorable impression on the public. So, how are we supposed to, where's the line here, Not only do we have examples of, let's say, Prabhupada disciples who've done things that, not everybody, just, we're supposed to do that also, or not, and then what are we supposed to, we're supposed to change that pattern? There's so much there. You brought up a Pandora's box, or whatever it's called.
Yeah.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhu. Such a nice question.
The devotees are wonderful. Prabhupada disciples, all the people are wonderful. Trying to spread the movement the best way. So the intention is so wonderful. And all this. So that I'm not putting anybody down. I don't want to criticize at all.
I could see that, from your.
It's just from practical perspective and trying to apply this. Where's the line here?
So if the question is that in the beginning days of Krishna consciousness movement, it was seen that although the intentions of devotees were pure, that to spread Krishna consciousness, spread Prabhupada's mission, but they seemingly adopted some unethical behavior, let's say, or pattern which may not be appreciable today. Like that. So where is the line? So what are we supposed to follow their pattern or change the pattern? So I would like to cite one very nice example. When Prabhupada was asked this, one devotee said, Prabhupada, can we lie while distributing your books? Prabhupada said, not recommended. He said, yes, we know that all book distributors have good intention of spreading Krishna's message. But Prabhupada said, not recommended. He said that sell the book on the merit of the book. He said that it takes a great advancement for a devotee to take a call when to act in seemingly improper way. Prabhupada mentions this. He says that, at very advanced stage, a devotee may act sometimes little in uncanny way, let's put it that way. And then he is not to be blamed because he has a very big picture in his mind. And it takes a lot of advancement and maturity to do that. But even to do that, the habit should be to act ethically, he says. He says that the habit should be to act ethically. Oh, okay, the beginning days were little days of formation and things were topsy-turvy, systems were not in place, but now the things are settling very nicely, systems are in place, and devotees no longer need to adopt those emergency methodologies like that. And Prabhupada gave a very nice example. He said that, like for example, if you are selling books, you shouldn't lie anything about the book. You should sell it on the credit of the book. And then he mentioned very nice thing. He said that there are very exceptional cases where one has to use one's intelligence. He says that he then gave one example that one devotee rented one house and he had some books. He used some portion of his house as a book go down, and the landowner asked, "Oh, do you have permission to sell these books?" So they didn't have yet the permission, but he said, "Yes, we have the permission." So Prabhupada said, "This is okay." Why? Because it is not harming anybody. This particular lie, so-called lie, is not putting anyone into trouble or not harming anyone. So it takes maturity actually to take such a call. But as a habit, or let's say as a default operating system, one should be ethical. In very exceptional cases, one may consult one's authorities and take a right call. But as a default pattern, one has to be very ethical in one's preaching, because that's what is going to create a legacy. Like taking to unethical means may give immediate results, but it will have some after effects. But on the other hand, if one goes by ethical shastric behavior, in 99.9% cases, in 0.1% exceptions, of course, one has to see that nobody is harmed, or it's for the benefit of others. But for most of the cases, it may bring results slowly, but they will bring results surely. And they will create a nice impression on the society. Just one instance I will mention. Just one example of this, in Cuff Parade, it's a very big posh area in Bombay, Cuff Parade. They were having Jagannath Ratha Yatra, and they were driving Jagannath cart, and one devotee in a rush happened to break into a window of a very nice car of one person. The person was not there, it was parked by the side of the road, but in the rush he just broke the window. I don't know how did he do that, but he just made some damage to the car. And then what he did is he wrote a hand note, and he said that, I happened to break into your car, and this is my number. Whatever damage is there, I am ready to pay. Like that, and he put it on the stick it to the car. That owner later found it out. Then he called him up. He met him, and he found that he is a devotee, and they were on Ratha Yatra, this thing, and he was so impressed by his honesty that he started coming for the program. And again, he forfeited whatever damage happened to his car, but he was so impressed. Another way was just, who sees? Who cares? It's all for Lord Jagannath. Maybe he will get purified by Jagannath's mercy. So there are so many excuses to say like this. We are doing everything for Jagannath. Maybe his car was not earned by proper money, so therefore Jagannath gave him punishment. And so many things one can say. But this devotee did that, and that person was so impressed that he became devotee. He started chanting 16 rounds. And he regularly calls devotees to his house for house programs. So honesty pays off big time. It may seem impractical, but the ethical behavior rules, as they say. So that's bigger preaching, right? So that's one example. One example from Prabhupada's own words, and one very recent example. This happened some 10-15 years back. Hare Krishna. Prabhuji first, and then Prabhuji. Hare
Couple
Krishna.
of things. Prabhupada said if someone's trying to cheat us, then we should be bigger cheaters. One thing. The other thing is, you want to land a big fish, Prabhupada said that's okay as long as you don't get wet.
Oh, okay. Yes, thank you. So if somebody is trying to cheat us, then okay, we may have to be smart, not to get cheated. But as far as our own behavior is concerned, we have to be more genuine. Thank you, Prabhu.
As far as setting an example for the public, we are preaching body necessities to nil, but so many devotees now are extremely overweight. Do you think this is going to be a problem for us in our preaching?
Okay, so many. Yeah, the question is, we are preaching nullifying the bodily needs, but then we see that in our own society there are so many overweight. So will there be any problem? So my take on this is no, because let's give a benefit of doubt to those who are overweight. Overweightiness is not necessarily always because of overeating. There are some medical situations, there are hereditary factors, there are so many other things for that. So this is one factor I am just explaining. And let's say okay, somebody is overweight because of overeating, let's say, but still that's not in our hand, because Mahaprabhu has given the direction. Rupa Goswami says atyahara prayasascha prajalpo niyamagraha. One should not eat more than required, one should not. So definitely we will preach what is preached by Rupa Goswami. That won't be compromised for sure. As far as that's a personal call, I would say. Somebody is overweight, how he is going to deal with that situation. Overweight due to overeating, let's say. Overweight due to hereditary factors and other, like somebody has hypothyroidism, because of which somebody becomes overweight. Those things are separate, but let's say overeating due to overeating, like overweight due to overeating. So that's the individual call of that person. That doesn't change our preaching. Right? So Krishna has his ways to give facility, right, to devotees to make mistakes and learn sometimes. Or sometimes Krishna doesn't care. He says that he thinks that he is doing so much service. Just like that verse says that Bhagavati cha harau ananya chetam bhrishamalinopi virajate manusya nahi shasha kalusha lashat chabi kadachit timira para bhavatam upaiti chandra. It means that if somebody is doing such a great service, then a little spot in his character does not diminish his light or does not diminish his illumination. And this is Narasimha Puran, by the way. This is written in Narasimha Puran. It says that, so better not find any fault with that devotee. We keep preaching what is preached by Rupa Goswami. Atyahara prayasascha, don't do that. But at the same time, not judge the devotees by this thing, because maybe Krishna is saying the big services that he is performing and putting more weightage than his overweight. Is giving more weight to his services than to his physical weight. So that's how our attitude should be. Therefore, the 6th verse of Rupa Goswami in Upadeshamrita says, Drushte svabhava janiterna vapushishya dosher. Seeing the so-called behavior of devotees, one should not na prakrutatva miha bhakta janasya pashyed. One should not try to see materially faults. Okay, some guru can chastise his disciple, saying that, hey, how come, like Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur used to chastise brahmacharis who would become overweight. Say, hey, how come you are overweight? You eat less. like that. Some guru can do that, but as far as a devotee community is concerned, we should be more appreciative of his service and not see faults. Gangam masam na khalubut budafein pankair brahmadravatvam upagacchati niradharmai. If Ganges there is some mud, still we consider it pure. So similarly, a devotee may have the habit of overeating, or let's say laughing in a particular way, or or speak in some irritative way, or whatever. But one should overlook those faults. That's what my little understanding is. Hare Krishna.
In the beginning, you were giving the example of Prabhupada, that you were listening to Prabhupada, and we should see how we are listening to the Prabhupada. And we should understand what he is speaking to us. Sometimes Prabhupada said, you do not add anything, you do not minus that. But we ignore those things and we do whatever we want. Just like we see when before chanting Prabhupada Bhagavad Gita, we used to chant Ya Radha Madhav. And he used to chant Radha Madhav, thank you very much, that's all.
Yes.
We never used to add few things now which we are adding.
Yeah.
So this is not fault finding. This is just saying that we have to follow Acharya as it is. Just like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu told us that what I am giving you, follow that one.
Yes.
Also Prabhupada said what I am giving you, follow that one. But whimsically we are doing so many things. Just like today morning when I met one devotee, and he told me, he asked me, you give me some time for chanting this Mangalacharan. I said, okay, you are welcome, no problem. But I thought you see, you are claiming that you are Prabhupada disciple. I don't mind, I don't want to say whether you are not, that is everything. But you see, when we are taking darshan of the Lord,
Yes.
we should totally observe there. We shouldn't leave the Lord and take parikrama and do other different things. Yes, again, you correct. I am correct. Why you are doing like that? Yes, I shouldn't do that. You correct yourself. So many things, these things we are doing musically. You see, very difficultly, half an hour Lord is giving us darshan. And we leave his darshan and go and do different things. That is means we are doing spirituality and we are not following our spiritual master, neither we are following the orders of our Acharya. So we should see that how these things, we should be doing those things. And we should try to correct each other. There is no harm in correcting each other. We will say, no, or my guru will say, because he is saying this thing, so I will also say these things. So that thing is because Prabhupada said, you don't have to be sheep in the flock. You should be sheep in the flock. You should be out of the sheep of the flock. But somebody is doing that, it's not that I also do this one.
Yes.
I have to see, understand, we are doing nonsense, so I will not do that answer. I have to see that what Prabhupada instructions are.
Yeah.
So if you get this heart to the heart, what Prabhupada instructions are, just like Prabhupada kept in his heart by instruction which Bhakti Thakur gave him, go and preach. So he took that very seriously. So we also take the seriously of Prabhupada's instruction and listen to him every day, then our life will be also successful. Whatever we are doing, that is also okay. But we should try to follow 100%.
Just one addition here. In saying that following Srila Prabhupada, we have to understand two factors, Niyam Agraha and Niyam Agraha. It's not that one, without understanding why Prabhupada said certain things, that will be just fanaticism if we just stick to it without even understanding why Prabhupada said certain things. So that will be Niyam Agraha, like blindly following certain rule given by Srila Prabhupada without understanding the context, like that. So that one should not do. Just like, for example, Prabhupada, if you mention that, Prabhupada used to chant Jai Radha Madhav and not Hare Krishna after that. But, Prabhupada in other places mentions every act, and he quotes Jiva Goswami, Bhakti Sandarbha Anuched 273. He says that every act of devotional service should precede by Harinam Sankirtan and should succeed by Harinam Sankirtan. So one should take essence. So yeah, maybe Prabhupada chose to sing only Jai Radha Madhav and gave half an hour class because half an hour could fit in that tape. It's not that we say that, oh, Prabhupada gave half an hour class, how did you give 31 minutes class? So that will be Niyamagraha. So you see the point? There is a difference between the externals and the internal. So one has to understand why Prabhupada said certain things and then follow that thing and not just stick to certain externals. So it takes more maturity to understand what is external and what is peripheral and what is essential. So it takes maturity for that. So for that we need to consult advanced devotees. As far as correcting other devotees is concerned, mainly it's a task of spiritual master only, because, and also senior devotees who are well-wishers, and if he understands that the person is going to listen to him and has some relationship, you must have some spiritual investment with that person in order to give instruction. Like I cannot just, jump into somebody's thing and say that, Prabhu, you shouldn't do this. So I said, who are you, Prabhu? We should have some emotional, some spiritual investments, that we must have done some service to that devotee. That gives us adhikar for correction, and that correction is also not in terms of fault finding, but in terms of genuine well-wishing. Right? So that's what my little thought on this. Yes, Prabhu. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Yes.
I have the one question.
Yes, bro.
As a great man, whom we have to set the example for that we will follow them.
I mean, whose example should we follow? As a great man?
As a great man.
Prabhupada is the example here. And those who are following properly in the line of Prabhupada, we are called Rupanugas, right? So Rupa Goswami is the ideal example for us. The great man, Mahajan, you are asking. Who is the Mahajan for us? That is the question. Rupa Goswami is our Mahajan, and anyone who is in the line of Rupa Goswami, that is our Mahajan. And especially as being the Prabhupada Anuga, Prabhupada is the central Mahajan for us. For all discrepancies, we refer to Prabhupada, like how he behaved to different situations and responded to different situations. We consult Srila Prabhupada, and one may say, okay, but in all situations we may not consult Prabhupada because he's there in the books, but you cannot ask directly to Srila Prabhupada, right? So you ask those who are nicely following Srila Prabhupada's instructions. So they are great men for us. You see the point?
Whatever they have liked in this book, we have to follow them.
Yes.
Instructions.
Yes, and in properly, like not blindly, understand what it is written, how to apply that in one's life practically, and then follow the examples of those great people, those great Vaishnavas who are. Yes, Prabhu. Have I answered your question, Prabhu? Okay.
You said about this analysis you read that 4,000 people are affected.
Yes. That's a general statistics, general survey. It's not a scriptural statement. So.
I would like to hear that, how it affects this thing.
Okay, so since like for example, like many people observe you without your notice. Like anywhere you are sitting in public, you are traveling by train, just by seeing you they observe you, and that affects some portion of their life is affected by seeing you in good or bad way. If it is positively, if our behavior is positive, then it will have positive effect on that person. So even let's say we travel by train, 50 people see us in one journey, like or especially devotee is so remarkable, he is putting marks of tilak and dhoti kurta, so he is catching attention, eyes of so many people. He becomes Sinoger, apple of the eye. What is it? That's correct word, right? Apple of the eye, no? So people so he is easily found, and then very naturally he will be observed, his behavior will be observed, and many people will do that. And if they find something good, then nowadays they will Twitter somebody or put on Facebook. So that way not only 4,000, it will reach 4 lakh, it will reach heavenly planets also. Yes, Prabhu. Oh, sorry, yes.
So it looks like behavior is very important and more important than speaking.
Yes. Behavior is very important. Yes, speaking should match with one's behavior. In Marathi, there is one saint. His name is Tukaram. Even Bhaktivinoda Thakur writes about him. So he says that Bole taisa chale tachi vandavi paule. One who acts according to his speech, I bow down to his feet, he says. So our speech and our behavior Of course, both should be correct. One will say, oh, my behavior will be demoniac and my speech will also be demonic. So that way I am following my speech. It's not like that. It both should be saintly. And then I worship that person, he says. Okay. Yes, bro.
Yes, bro. Sorry, would you?
Yes, bro.
He brought up the comment about, chanting Hare Krishna and so forth. So, I mean, that particular situation, Dhanavir Maharaj has wrote an article about, the proper way that he sees, and it uses so many references as to when Prabhupada would stop the kirtan because they were doing this and that we're doing today. So, my suggestion is, it is a valid point to see us possibly deviating from, what's the best way for us to advance in Krishna consciousness. And since I'm a part of this, I want to max my advancement, and I want to see everybody max their advancement. So that's a very reasonable thought. But I just want to make a comment that some sannyasis have the same issues. They've written articles, and if one wanted, one could take an article like that and share it with maybe the temple authorities, or share it with devotees that he has a good relationship with to help propagate, something practical to do to get a result in favor of what Prabhupada would please Prabhupada. So it's just a thought. I really don't know the best way to go with that. But,
Yeah, thank you for sharing. Yeah. Yes.
When I joined Prabhupada, the devotees would correct you on anything. They would pounce upon you if you carried your bead bag into the toilet. If you ate too much halva, they would pounce upon you. And that was very welcome. And actually, it forced, not only did it keep good standards, it forced them to be humble also, because you can't do that kind of thing without being humble.
Yeah. So in scriptures there is example of Chaitanya Charitamrita. There was Damodar Pandit. He would correct even Mahaprabhu. Very nice example. And then Mahaprabhu sent him to this Gaudadesh, Navadvip, saying that you stay there so that people will not transgress, because they will be fearful of you. So somebody like Damodar Pandit should be there, like, who will, who is just looking, who is keeping vigilance, like that. At the same time, I really appreciate what you mentioned. So, like, devotees should be open for feedback. Like, I should be open for any feedback from any seniors or anybody for that matter, and then be humble enough to implement that in my life. That's true. Yeah. But on the other side, it will become extremist way if the person himself is doing it out of envy, or doing it out of superiority, showing superiority. Then there will be a negative effect, like and sometimes without adhikars correcting somebody, or sometimes like they say that upadesho hi murkhanam prakopayana shantaye. Sometimes the person whom one is correcting will not listen, and his anger will only increase, like, because of not putting in it proper way. So many things can happen. So yes, as Prabhuji mentioned, so we need to find some ways to convey. So maybe raise this issue to authority, and maybe he will suggest him, rather than myself getting into everything. So yes, like like as you mentioned, that it humbles, it definitely humbles. If the devotee is in proper mood, it humbles him and also puts him on the right track very immediately. That's true. But then at the same time, it should also be borne in mind that one will go into this correcting track of mindset then one might forget his own devotional service. Like if I am chanting, the only thing I should be focused on is my relationship with Krishna when I am chanting. If I am saying, oh, this devotee is sleeping, oh, that devotee is talking with others, oh, that devotee, so I will go and correct him. So that's not okay. That will help that person, but I will suffer some loss, like in that. So it is a balance. What comes to my mind is, yes, correcting is also important. At the same time, to know when not to correct is also important. So it takes maturity and experience. And as I mentioned, that investment, spiritual investment, like you mentioned, those devotees, if they were caring, then you tend to accept their advice very quickly. Oh, he is my well-wisher. That first thought, if that is there in the mind, he will quickly accept your correction. But if he thinks that, oh, why is he just, why doesn't he leave me alone? So then that will create a more distance between us and them. So it's a balance, I would say. Yes, bro.
One more. You see, I have been service here as how can I help you?
Yeah.
So when I'm helping people, and sometimes management said you have to see if you find something wrong, let us know.
If let us know, huh?
So sometimes I remove picture and send them. Sometimes I remove the picture of thing what I see wrong.
Okay, huh?
And some of them people they
You click picture of seeing something wrong,
Yeah.
and then raise it to authority. Okay, that's perfect. Yeah, that's your duty now.
Yeah. But still the people get envious, they get into long discussion and this one.
Okay.
So just I go and explain them. This is my duty, I'm doing my duty.
Yeah,
And nothing wrong. And if there is something wrong, you should humbly ask what is wrong to try to correct yourself.
yeah. That's true. If you are in charge of something.
Very long complaints you can also them and then support you. Why you creating anything? And this is service given to me. I'm doing my service. And now if anything is there, sit and talk nicely. Just don't keep on complaining.
Yeah. Just to and so just to end on positive note, I will just share one example. Just one example. Sorry, it's already late, but I will just share one example how it works. So just a balancing thing, finding something wrong which is going on and becoming vigilant and becoming protective of the movement is very good. That shows care for the society, care for the people. Side by side, if we do the other thing, then this correcting will be very effective. What is that? There was one penguin trainer. So he was doing his show, and he asked his penguin that, oh, I am so thirsty, can you bring water for me? So the penguin, with his wings or whatever, that penguin brought a glass of water for him. And one of the audience became so surprised. He said that after the show he met this performer, trainer, and he said, how did you do that? I have a 8-year-old son. I tell him I am thirsty. He said, go get it yourself. And you trained one bird to fetch water for you. How did you do that? So he said one thing. He said that one thing that I applied, apart from correcting, I caught him doing right. Usually we do catch people doing wrong. But if we also learn side by side to catch them doing right, that is so effective. So he said that whenever he used to do things right, the penguin, I used to reinforce. And I used to catch him doing right things. And that is how he learned positive behavior. And that is how now he's friend to me. When I tell him that I am thirsty, he brings water for me. It's not that just mechanically he will bring. He feels for me. He cares for me. Therefore he will bring water for me. So I wanted to end on positive note. So I think we will end here. Jai Srila Prabhupada ki. Hidaya Gaur Premanande.